The champagne flute shattered against the marble floor. A woman's gasp cut through the string quartet's melody. Then laughter. Cruel, familiar laughter that made Alice's blood freeze. Well, 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 a voice drawled from across the ballroom. If it isn't Alice the charity case, still pretending you belong? 300 guests turned to stare. Alice's hand instinctively moved to her 6-month pregnant belly, her white cocktail dress suddenly feeling too tight, too exposed. She'd spent 12 years running from this voice. Now it had found her. And standing 10 feet away, watching with eyes colder than a soul winter, was her husband. The man whose ring she wore in secret, the man no one at this engagement party knew existed. Beom Seok smiled. It was the kind of smile that once made men beg for mercy before they vanished. This was going to be a very interesting night. Alice stood in front of the bathroom mirror, hands trembling as she applied lipstick. The Beverly Hills Hotel. Suite was larger than her childhood apartment, all cream marble and gold fixtures. Through the door, she could hear the event coordinator finalizing details for the engagement party. Engagement party. The words tasted like ash. You don't have to do this, Beom Seok said from the doorway. He wore a tailored black suit, his neck tattoo barely visible above his collar. Even in legitimate businessman mode, he radiated danger. Yes, I do. Alice met his eyes in the mirror. If I don't face him now, I'll run forever. Then I'll stand beside you. No. She turned to face him. You'll stand exactly where we planned. 10 feet away, watching. He can't know we're married. Not yet. Beom Seok's jaw tightened. He hated this plan. For 6 months, he'd kept their marriage secret at her request. Tonight was supposed to be her engagement party to a fictional fiancé, a ruse to draw out her past. But the cost was watching his pregnant wife walk into a room full of vultures while pretending to be someone else's. If he touches you, he won't. Alice's voice was steadier than her hands. He's too smart for that. He'll use words, he always did. She didn't tell Beom Seok about the scars those words had left, the years of therapy, the nightmares, the way she still flinched when someone raised their voice. Across town, Derek Chen checked his reflection in his Tesla's rearview mirror. 42 years old, venture capitalist, Forbes 30 under 30 alumni. He'd built an empire on other people's desperation. Tonight's charity gala was another networking opportunity. He'd scrolled past the host's name without really seeing it. Alice M. Foundation for Underprivileged Youth. Alice, common name. Couldn't be her. His high school punching bag had probably ended up exactly where he'd always said she would. Nowhere. He smiled, remembering. God, those had been fun times. His phone buzzed, an investor backing out. Derek's smile faded. He needed to close 3 deals tonight or his house of cards started falling. He had no idea it already had. The ballroom fell silent as Derek Chen approached. Alice's heart hammered against her ribs. She hadn't seen him in 12 years, but he looked exactly the same. Expensive suit, practiced smile, eyes that dissected people for weaknesses. Alice Martinez? Derek's voice carried across the room. I almost didn't recognize you. Last time I saw you, you were stealing food from the cafeteria trash. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Alice felt her face burn. That's not, she started. Oh, don't be modest. Derek turned to address the guests, his voice dripping with false concern. Alice and I went to Riverside High together. She was... How do I put this delicately? He paused for effect. The scholarship charity case. Always begging for lunch money, wearing the same clothes for weeks. Alice's vision blurred. She was 17 again, trapped in the hallway while Derek and his friends circled her like sharks. I'm actually impressed, Derek continued, examining the elegant ballroom. You've come so far, though I have to ask, He gestured at her belly, his smile sharpening. Who's the poor fool who knocked you up? Or is this another one of your desperate grabs for sympathy and money? The room erupted in uncomfortable murmurs. Alice's hands shook. She wanted to run, to disappear, to prove every cruel thing Derek had ever said about her was true. Then she felt it. A presence behind her. Not touching, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. Beom Seok didn't speak. He simply appeared at Alice's side, his cold eyes fixed on Derek. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. I'm sorry, Beom Seok said, his accent slight but deliberate. I don't believe we've met, and you are? Derek's confidence faltered for a microsecond. Derek Chen, Venture Capital. And you are? Beom Seok. He didn't offer his hand. Alice's husband. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Derek's face went pale, then red. Husband? But this is an engagement party. No. Beom Seok's smile was surgical. This is an execution. You just don't know it yet. Derek laughed, too loud, too forced. I think there's been some confusion. The invitation said engagement party to a man who doesn't exist. Alice's voice was barely a whisper, but it cut through Derek's bluster. There is no fiancé. There never was. Just my husband. And he's been standing here for the past 20 minutes, watching you. Derek's eyes darted around the room, finally understanding. The guest list, the venue, the timing. Every person here was connected to Beom Seok somehow. Investors, politicians, business partners. This is insane. Derek backed up a step. You can't just, this is harassment. I'll sue. You'll what? Beom Seok tilted his head slightly. Explain to your investors why you publicly humiliated a pregnant woman at a charity event? Explain the lawsuit Alice filed against you 3 hours ago for defamation? Or perhaps explain where the $2.3 million in your offshore accounts came from? Derek's face went from red to ashen. You're bluffing. Am I? Beom Seok gestured to a server, who immediately produced a manila folder. Cayman Islands, account number 4872-9304, opened in 2019, funded through embezzlement from Chen Ventures, your own company. Alice watched Derek crumble. She should feel victorious. Instead, she felt sick. I need air, she whispered. She pushed through the crowd toward the terrace. Behind her, she could hear Beom Seok's voice, cold and measured, dismantling Derek's empire piece by piece in front of 300 witnesses. This was what she'd wanted. To see Derek destroyed, to make him feel the powerlessness he'd made her feel. So why did she feel like she was drowning? Alice reached the terrace and gripped the railing. The Los Angeles skyline blurred through her tears. Inside, the party had dissolved into chaos. Phones out, whispered conversations, Derek's raised voice begging for someone to listen. Stop! Alice turned back toward the ballroom. Beom Seok, stop! But he didn't hear her. Or maybe he did and chose revenge anyway. The door behind her opened. But it wasn't her husband. It was Derek. Don't come near me, Alice warned, backing against the railing. Derek held up his hands, his earlier confidence shattered. Please, just 5 minutes. I need to understand. Understand what? How it feels to be humiliated in front of everyone you know? Alice's voice cracked. Welcome to my entire high school experience. I know. Derek's voice was hollow. I know I was cruel, but this... He gestured toward the ballroom. Your husband just destroyed my entire life in 10 minutes. My investors are pulling out. My board is calling for my resignation. My wife... His voice broke. My wife is texting me for a divorce. Good. Alice said it, but the word felt empty. Is it? Derek leaned against the opposite railing, keeping distance between them. Because you don't look happy. You look like someone who just watched an execution and realized revenge isn't what you thought it would be. Alice hated that he was right. Through the terrace doors, she could see Beom Seok surrounded by guests, still playing the dutiful host, still destroying Derek's reputation with surgical precision. Why did you do it? Alice asked suddenly. In high school? Why me? What did I ever do to you? Derek was quiet for a long moment. You want the truth? The pathetic, shameful truth? Yes. Because you were everything I wasn't. Derek's laugh was bitter. You were kind, genuine. You helped people even though you had nothing. And I was a fraud. My father bought my way into Riverside, paid for my grades, donated a library to keep me from getting expelled. He looked at her. You earned everything. I earned nothing, and I hated you for it. Alice stared at him. 12 years of trauma, therapy, nightmares, and the reason was jealousy? That's not good enough, she whispered. I know. The terrace door burst open. Beom Seok stood there, his hand moving toward his jacket, toward the gun Alice knew he kept there. Get away from my wife. Beom Seok, wait. Alice stepped between them. He's a threat. He's broken. Alice met her husband's eyes. And I don't need you to kill him. I need you to trust me. You want me to trust the man who called you trash? Beom Seok's voice was dangerously quiet. The man who made you attempt suicide your senior year? Alice felt Derek's sharp intake of breath behind her. You didn't know that, did you? Beom Seok addressed Derek without looking at him. December 14th, 2012. Alice swallowed an entire bottle of sleeping pills because of you. Because your harmless teasing convinced a 17-year-old girl that the world would be better without her. Alice, Derek's voice was barely audible. I never knew. Of course you didn't know. Alice turned to face him, tears streaming down her face. You were too busy posting photos of me on social media, remember? Trash Girl Tuesday? 5,000 shares? Kids from other schools started recognizing me, calling me names. Someone threw a drink at me at the mall. My parents found me on the bathroom floor, Alice continued, her voice breaking. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Psychiatric hold, I missed finals, lost my scholarship to Berkeley. Everything I'd worked for, gone. Because you thought it was funny. Derek slid down the wall, his head in his hands. Jesus Christ. Alice, I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. Sorry doesn't erase 12 years of therapy. Alice wiped her tears. Sorry doesn't erase the panic attacks every time someone raises their voice. Sorry doesn't erase the fact that I almost didn't survive you. Beom Seok moved to her side, his hand finding hers. This is why I wanted him gone. Permanently. Alice looked at her husband, the man who'd held her through nightmares, who'd learned to recognize when she was spiraling, who'd loved her despite the broken pieces she brought to their relationship. I know, she said softly, but killing him won't heal me. It'll just prove that I'm still letting him control my life. Then what do you want? Beom Seok asked. Alice looked at Derek, crumpled on the terrace floor, his perfect life demolished. She thought about revenge, justice, healing. She thought about the baby growing inside her daughter, who would need a mother who'd faced her demons, not run from them. I want him to live with it, Alice said finally. I want him to wake up every day knowing what he did. That's a better punishment than death. If you were Alice, could you forgive your bully? Or would you let Beom Seok finish it? Drop your honest thoughts below. The terrace was silent except for the distant hum of Los Angeles traffic. Inside, the party had dissolved, guests leaving in uncomfortable clusters, whispering about what they'd witnessed. Stand up, Alice told Derek. He looked up at her with red-rimmed eyes. Why? Because I need to say something, and I need you to hear it standing. Derek struggled to his feet. Beom Seok remained tense, ready to intervene. You stole years from me, Alice said, her voice steady now. You made me believe I was worthless, unlovable, disposable, and for a long time I believed you. She placed her hand on her belly. But then I met someone who saw me differently, who saw past the trauma you inflicted, who made me believe I deserved to be happy. She looked at Beom Seok, and his expression softened. Just slightly, but enough. I'm not going to let you steal any more time from me, Alice continued. Not my present, not my future, not my daughter's childhood. You don't get that power anymore. What happens now? Derek asked hoarsely. Now? Alice glanced at Beom Seok. My husband is going to make some calls. Your investors will come back. Your board will reconsider. Your wife? She paused. That's on you to fix. But you'll keep your company, your reputation, your life. Derek's eyes widened in disbelief. Why? Because I'm not you, Alice said simply. And I never will be. Beom Seok's hand tightened around hers. She could feel his tension, his disagreement with her mercy. But he stayed silent. But understand this. Alice stepped closer to Derek. If I ever hear that you've hurt someone the way you hurt me, if I hear even a whisper that you're bullying anyone, my husband won't ask my permission next time. And trust me, what happened tonight will seem like kindness. Derek nodded frantically. I swear, I'll do better. I'll be better. You'd better be. Alice turned away exhausted. Now get out of my sight. Derek practically ran toward the exit. Alice collapsed into Beom Seok's arms, trembling. He held her tight, his chin resting on top of her head. You're too good, he murmured in Korean. Too forgiving. I'm tired, she whispered back. I'm so tired of carrying hate. Acid 7? The shatter point. 350, 400 words. They didn't speak on the drive home. Beom Seok's jaw was clenched, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Alice stared out the window, replaying the night over and over. When they reached their penthouse, the silence shattered. That was a mistake, Beom Seok said, slamming the door. Letting him walk away. That was my choice to make, Alice shot back. Your choice? He turned on her, and for the first time since she'd known him, she saw real anger. He tried to destroy you. He's the reason you wake up screaming. He's the reason you can't... He stopped himself. Can't what? Alice demanded. Say it. Can't believe you deserve to be loved. The words exploded out of him. Even now, even after everything, you still flinch when I touch you too suddenly. You still apologize for taking up space. You still look at yourself like you're worthless, and it's because of him. Alice felt like she'd been slapped. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Beom Seok's voice went cold. The voice he used when ordering hits, when ending lives. I understand that I offered to remove the source of your pain, and you protected him instead. I didn't protect him. I protected myself. Alice's voice cracked. Don't you see? If I let you kill him, if I let myself become someone who solves problems with violence, then I become just like the people who hurt me. I become just like... She stopped, but the damage was done. Just like me? Beom Seok finished quietly. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. He grabbed his keys. And you're right, I am a monster. I destroy people. It's what I do. It's all I know. He moved toward the door. Maybe Derek was right about you after all. Maybe you do have terrible taste in men. Beom Seok, wait. But he was already gone. Alice sank to the floor, her hands on her belly. The baby kicked, sharp, insistent, reminding her that she wasn't alone, even when it felt like her world was crumbling. She'd faced her bully, reclaimed her power, shown mercy. So why did it feel like she'd lost everything that mattered? 3:47 a.m. Alice sat at the kitchen island staring at her phone. Beom Seok hadn't come home, hadn't called, hadn't texted. She'd tried reaching him 17 times. Every call went to voicemail. Her therapist's words echoed in her mind. Healing isn't linear. And sometimes the people we love can't understand the path we need to take to get there. But Alice understood Beom Seok's anger now, sitting alone in their too quiet apartment. He'd watched her suffer, held her through panic attacks, learned to read the signs of her trauma like a language only he spoke. And when she'd finally had the chance to end the source of that pain, she'd let it walk away. To him, it must have felt like she chose Derek over him. Her phone buzzed. Not Beom Seok. A text from an unknown number. Mrs. Park, this is Minjun, your husband's security. He's at the downtown warehouse. He's not well. Please come. Alice's heart stopped. The downtown warehouse was where Beom Seok handled business, the kind that left no witnesses. She grabbed her keys with shaking hands. The warehouse. The building was dark except for one light in the back office. Alice found Beom Seok sitting on the floor, his back against the wall, a bottle of whiskey beside him. He looked up when she entered, and her heart broke at the exhaustion in his eyes. You shouldn't be here, he said. It's not safe. I'm exactly where I should be. Alice lowered herself carefully to the floor beside him, not easy at 6 months pregnant. I almost did something tonight, Beom Seok said quietly. I went to Derek's house, sat in my car for 2 hours with a gun in my lap, thinking about how easy it would be. One bullet, your nightmare's gone. Alice's breath caught. But then I realized something. He looked at her. It wouldn't be for you, it would be for me, because I can't fix you, and that terrifies me. I don't need you to fix me, Alice whispered, taking his hand. I need you to love me while I fix myself. What if I can't? What if I'm too broken to love you the right way? Alice leaned her head on his shoulder. Then we'll be broken together. 3 months later, Alice stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her dress. Her belly had grown. 9 months now, any day. Behind her, Beom Seok fastened a necklace around her neck, his fingers gentle. You don't have to do this, he said. Yes, I do. They were standing in the lobby of the Alice M. Foundation's new youth center, built with Derek Chen's money. Not as revenge, but as restitution. Derek had liquidated his personal assets to fund it. No strings attached, no publicity. Just a quiet acknowledgement of debt owed. The grand opening was in an hour. The first 50 kids were already arriving, scholarship recipients from underprivileged neighborhoods. Kids who reminded Alice of herself at 17. Do you regret it? Beom Seok asked. Showing mercy? Alice turned to face him. Do you regret respecting my choice? Every day, he admitted. But I love you more than I hate him, so I'm learning to live with it. She kissed him softly. That's all I ask. A commotion at the entrance made them turn. Derek Chen stood there looking nervous, holding a large manila envelope. I wasn't sure if I should come, he said, approaching slowly. But I wanted to give you this. Personally. Alice took the envelope. Inside were legal documents, the deed to the youth center, transferred entirely to the foundation, and underneath a handwritten letter. Alice, no amount of money can undo what I did. No apology can give you back what I took. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be better. I've started therapy. I've stepped down from my company to volunteer at-risk youth programs. I'm teaching kids about the consequences of bullying, using myself as the cautionary tale I should have been. You gave me something I didn't deserve, a second chance. I won't waste it. Derek. Alice looked up at him. He looked different, smaller somehow, humbler. Thank you, she said simply. Derek nodded, tears in his eyes, and left. Beom Seok wrapped his arms around Alice from behind, his hands resting on her belly. You're going to make an incredible mother. We're going to make incredible parents, she corrected. At that moment, Alice felt something shift. Not the baby, but something deeper. The weight she'd carried for 12 years lightening. Not gone, but bearable. Healing, she realized, wasn't about forgetting the past. It was about refusing to let it write your future. The baby arrived 2 days later. Beom Seok held his daughter for the first time in the hospital room, his hands trembling slightly. She had Alice's eyes, his dark hair, and lungs that announced her presence to the entire maternity ward. "She's perfect," he whispered. "She's ours." Alice, corrected, exhausted, but radiant. They'd decided on a name months ago, Ji-woo. In Korean, it meant ambition and wisdom. In English, it meant branch of knowledge. A fresh start, Alice had said when they chose it. No trauma, no past, just possibility. Now, watching her husband cradle their daughter with a gentleness that contradicted everything he was in the outside world, Alice understood something profound. The best revenge wasn't destroying your enemies. It was building a life so beautiful, so full of love, that they became irrelevant. Derek Chen had taken years from her, but he couldn't take this moment, this family, this second chance at believing she deserved good things. "What are you thinking?" Beom Seok asked, noticing her expression. "That I won," Alice said simply. "Won what?" "Everything." She looked at her husband, her daughter, the life they'd built from broken pieces. "I survived. I healed. I loved. I'm loved back." She smiled. Derek Chen tried to destroy me, and instead I built something he'll never have. Peace. Beom Seok leaned over and kissed her forehead. "My fierce, forgiving wife." "Your fierce, forgiving wife who made you promise not to murder anyone," Alice corrected with a tired laugh. "For now," he teased. "Forever." "Forever," he agreed. As Ji-woo yawned in her father's arms, the sun rose over Los Angeles, golden and warm and full of promise. Alice closed her eyes, finally, truly at peace. She'd faced her demon. She'd chosen mercy over vengeance. She'd loved herself enough to believe she deserved to be loved. And in the end, that was the greatest victory of all. So, what do you think? Was Alice right to forgive? Or would you have let Beom Seok finish the job? And have you ever had to choose between revenge and healing? Drop your story in the comments. We read every single one. And if this story moved you, hit that subscribe button because we've got more emotional journeys coming your way. See you in the next one.